Welcome to another series of BK Play. This is Dottie Flower, and no, don't be confused. This is in fact a relatively contemporary release on the Super Nintendo of all things. This isn't some indie game. Well, I mean, it is an independent game. In fact, this, for fuck's sake, its distribution method was quite the interesting one. Because initially, the game was only distributed through these mail order carts that you can only, like, there was only 100 of them out there. Then eventually the developer decided to just make the ROM, he dumped it, made it free. Yeah, this is Dottie Flower, a single man project, like everything just by one guy. This is the overworld, and it's basically a Turrican clone, kind of. It's very feel-good. You know, it's almost like what the kids these days would describe as a cozy game. What I mean by that is it's very easy. This game eases you into the mechanics and isn't bullshit. This is AC Striker reporting to the Freedom Forces. What? They're here already. Look what they did to our city. Yes, I can tell the city is in your ruins. HQ, is the assault suit ready? Not yet. Okay, retreating for now. I love how like the character designs clash so hard with the one of your own character, and I love how her legs just extend, like they become twice their size when you. It's great. You know, I've always loved DIY projects like this that are like super well made and competent, but still have that tinge of things could be better, which reminds you that like a person made this. Wow, this thing is huge. What are you talking about here? What the? Oh my god, okay, this is the first, well, it's not really a boss. You still don't have any weaponry, so you can't really defend yourself. Hey, for a second, okay, I'm not going to be reading everything. You can read for yourself. I hope you can read. I'm sure you can read. You actually have a little bit of an animation when you duck. That's real cute. You pick up the broom, and this is your main weapon. It's basically a gun. Yeah, it's a gun. There's no sound for the firing, which, you know, it lacks feedback, yes, but I also kind of don't mind because it does get pretty fucking annoying listening to the same sound over and over and over again, so... You know, the winner, you win some, you lose some, if that makes sense. There is this very satisfying slap noise every time you hit a boss that's great. So as I was saying, I just really love DIY projects like this that feel so obviously like made by someone who knows exactly what they're doing, but just the fact that it's one person means there are some shortcomings, but it's still overall really, really well made. I think it's because there's this... Okay, this is going to sound mega pretentious, but I think there's a extra layer of like personalization and expression when something is made by one person, especially bonus points if like everything within that project is made by that one guy. That's why I, for example, let my complacency stop me from doing a lot of things that I really want to do because, well... Oh wait, this is a character, let's actually voice him. Okay, come on, what's he gonna say? ... Oh, I forgot, he doesn't say anything. It's because I feel like an obligation to make everything myself. So for example, let's say I'm making like a game in the Unreal Engine or whatever, like I still got the original Unreal Engine. It comes with all these textures, right? I would stubbornly refuse to use any of them despite the fact that most of them still look pretty damn good. Boss, terraforming operation was completed as ordered. Okay, and now what? Very good. Proceed with the invasion as planned. I'm pretty sure I've seen that character before. The creator did mention there's a lot of copyrighted material in this, so that wouldn't surprise me. Now, I don't know if all of these sprites were 100% made by the person, but they look very... I can't recognize them from any other game. Yes, you also have a double... Well, it's not really a double jump. This is Turrican all around, but you can't aim multiple directions, so it's also nowhere near as difficult. This game is very forgiving, infinite lives as you would expect. You can really tell that this is a more contemporary release. Oh, you can bounce on stuff too. And another thing I really love about games that are, you know, not only made recently, but made to feel like they weren't made recently, but at the same time they were released for, you know, an outdated system like this, like the Super Nintendo, that you can tell that they are contemporary based on the fact that their design is so different, right? This right here is the result of 30 plus years of us quote-unquote figuring out how to make games. Now, whether or not this is for better or worse, well, that's up to you, really. If you want a harder experience, there's plenty of difficult games still being made. Let's not pretend that the art of the difficult game is a dead one. Oh, AAA normie gaming killed hard games. No, fuck off. There's still tons of ridiculously hard games being made. You know, I've been playing through the new official expansion to Doom 2 that was released actually quite a while ago. I somehow missed it on release. What was it called? No Rest for the Living. That was quite a while ago. It was called Legacy of Rust. That shit is hard. I'm playing it on Hurt Me Plenty, like, you know, the standard middle of the road difficulty, and I'm fucking dying, man. Good thing there's a freaking God mode command, because like that thing is insane. So clearly, and that's from a big publisher. That's Bethesda. That's id Software. That's Night Dive Studios. You know, it's big contemporary AAA, right? And clearly it is not made with casuals in mind, so to speak. Dang, city gates are closed. I'll have to sneak in elsewhere. Okay. Wait, this is before we... Yeah, okay. We're about to unlock a new ability. When brute force is at your fingertips. Haha. Now that's funny, you see, because if you hold down this button... Yes, if you hold down... What button would that be on the Super Nintendo? Fucking Nintendo with their stupid buttons. A. It would be A. Okay. I've been experimenting with this new control scheme. So, you know XEMU? It's an awesome emulator for the original Xbox. For the longest time, I had no idea how to reconfigure its controls. I still don't know how to do it. I just... If I want to, I do it using auto hotkey. Thing is, I started running into some actual shortcut issues, because you know how control, which is a button I typically like to use in my shooters for shooting if I have to play them that way instead of with a mouse, control is a modifier, which means that it activates a lot of shortcuts. Yeah, that can be an issue when you're playing the game, and all of a sudden it's like I literally, there was this one time I was playing Painkiller Hell Wars instead of the PC version. I've already beaten the PC version, so I wanted to play the Xbox version and see what it's like. That was before I made the Focus on B on it. And I accidentally ejected the game disc, quote-unquote disc, you know what I mean. I ejected the ISO, well, actually it said XISO, from the emulator mid-game. Surprisingly, it still worked for a couple levels, not a couple levels, a couple areas in the game, and then it was like, what the fuck do I do? So I decided to stick with the default controls, which are a little bit weird. And what they've done is they've actually mapped, they've basically pulled a... Have you ever seen NerdCube's video on the London Olympics 2012? That game was fucking disastrous. What they did... Oh, guys, I'm in. Bring the assault suit prototype. Okay. Watch out, Striker. We're coming in hot. Okay, let me continue telling my story. Nah, nice. Buick. Arm your assault suit. Ah, cool. He exploded. Okay, I'm leaving now. Can I leave? There's still room for improvement, I suppose. Yes. Okay, the writing is pretty funny. I love how intentionally cheesy and like late 80s it is, even though the Super Nintendo came out in 1990. Which, to be fair, I mean, that was like the end of that era, so it makes sense. But anyway, and so what that game did, London Olympics 2012, it actually, it dead-ass mapped, because it was a console game, obviously ported to PC. Although it was a very good-looking game, yes. But dead-ass, what they did was they mapped the face buttons on the 360 pad to the keyboard. As in, A is A, B is B, X is X, and Y is Y. And that's exactly what... Okay, there's this weird baby character, and I don't know what the fuck is up with this guy, but he's fun. He's actually very useful because he helps you beat this boss, actually, as you can see. Those flames can't hurt you like that, by the way. All you have to do is to launch that and then shoot it a bunch, but don't get hit by it. It can hit you later. I'm still not sure exactly how it hurts you. This actually reminds me of a boss from Vector, man. I might do a Focus on Beyond that at some point. That game is fucking hard. Like, insanely hard. You know, it's the reason why I've never been a fan of this kind of game until playing this one, of course, which is nowhere near as difficult as you would expect. So where was I? Where was I at? Oh yeah, the whole XEMU and its configurations. Well, the thing is, right, when I was playing I realized that it's actually... It's not that counterintuitive to have the controls that way, and it also maps the analog sticks to, like, E, S, D, and F instead of WASD, because it reserves W... Oh, fuck, I'm dying. It doesn't really matter that much. I'm still gonna use save states. This game is easy. It doesn't require save states. It's not the kind of game that, like, oh my god, how could anyone have done this back then? Because this game isn't from back then. I literally could have played this game when it came out. I just had no idea it existed. I was browsing Moby Games, as I always do to find my games, and I just sorted by, okay, Super Nintendo, but what if... Let's sort by current day Super Nintendo. And I found this, and I was like, huh, okay. And it's actually a really cool little game, and I'm glad I found it. There's a surprisingly strong homebrew scene for that thing. I mean, pretty much every old school system still has a relatively active homebrew scene, especially the Dreamcast, because the Dreamcast is awesome. So, yeah, but anyway, and the thing is, I've been contemplating using that sort of configuration. Wow, kid, your Freedom Force material right there. I'm PPB. Nice to meet ya. I don't know what's going on. I love how the characters completely ignore you. Like, you don't exist to them. That's hilarious. Alright, we beat the level. This is also a very short game, by the way. Chances are it might be only, like, 3 episodes or something, but, I like it a lot, and I like it way too much to just do a Focus on B on it, so we're doing a freaking series. I mean, it didn't stop me from doing Sonic Mania, which is like 4 parts. In retrospect, I think I should have made it a couple more parts, because I really did push the length for some of the episodes, but doesn't matter, that's in the past. As far as you guys are concerned, that's very far in the past. Not so much me. I'm stockpiling a fuck ton of these. But anyway, where was I? Enter stage. I love the way the hub world looks. It's really charming and cute and tiny. Like, everything's just really small. I don't like, however, that your health doesn't reset. I mean, it's not a big deal. I mean, this, again, no lives. I can just... Oh no, I'm dead. I'm back. You know what I mean? It shows that we've learned over the past 30 years that, like, yeah, lives are kind of unnecessary. Let's just... No, I mean, depending on the context, it could make sense, but in this kind of game, no, absolutely not. But damn it, where was I? What was I talking about? Sonic Mania, I was talking about controls. Oh yeah, so I was considering mapping every emulator that I have to that control scheme. So like, let's say I'm playing a GameCube game, and I actually have like A, B, X, and Y, you know, configured that way. And L and R would be, let me just put my hands on my keyboard, they would be... I guess because they're triggers, they would have to be W and O or something like that. You get what I mean? And if they were bumpers, it would be R and U. Doesn't matter. Point is, let's jump down here. There's not a lot of musical variety. The developer did express a little bit of regret that he couldn't get as much music in the game as he wanted to, but because the game was kind of rushed. Believe it or not, yes, even these kind of games get rushed, but that's because he set himself a deadline, and it's like, you know, you gotta meet the deadline, and I totally get that as someone who makes stuff. Even if technically you have no legal obligation to finish something at a certain like point in time, it's still, yeah, you can upgrade your health. Everything's very streamlined in this game. Like, this is not Gunlord, this is not a Turrican, this is not Hurricane. Yeah, that's also a thing. It's a fan-made, also German, I believe, fan-made like Turrican game, basically. It's a fan game. This isn't fucking Cybertron, whatever it's called. I got the gig. That game is impossible. I even tried cheating on it, but the fucking cheats conveniently stopped working one stage in, as in, the infinite health cheat only works on level 1, but not on level 2, which is the much harder one. So it's like, what the fuck? That's not going to be an issue here. As you can see, I haven't even loaded up a single state during this playthrough, you know what I mean? And I really... Like, yes, difficult games can be rewarding, but this kind of genre is just, for me, has always just been about the spectacle. It's kind of like the shoot 'em up. You know, I recently just tried R-Type Dimensions EX, I believe, and that game has an infinite lives mode. That's the default mode, actually. It's the, you know, the normal person mode. And it really hit me that when you have infinite lives in a game like that, how do you make it difficult? Because you're just flying through, you're constantly moving, you can't really stop it, and all you have to do is hold the firing button down. You really pretty much can't lose, just inherently. Like, at least with a platformer, if you can't, for some reason, figure out where to go, you can still lose, potentially. And by lose, I mean just not complete the game, if that makes sense. That might be the main reason why I've honestly not completed that many first-person shooters from a particular time period, because, well... you know, just not dying sometimes isn't the issue. A lot of them will have God mode and such, so that's easy. But no, it's getting around, figuring out where to go. That's the real challenge there, you know what I mean? Oh, for fuck's sake, I could have hit that. There are some nice little bonuses you can find. Like, this game is, it's easy, but there's still some things that allow you to... It has this very Kirby's Epic Yarn kind of design mentality, where just playing it normally is ridiculously easy. You know, you're never gonna lose this game, at least as far as I'm aware. I haven't beaten the whole game up until, like, I'm about to beat it, obviously, for the series. But in terms of, ooh, I think there's some tricks you can do here. Let's try this. Charge it up, go and bounce off, and then that doesn't work. Okay. There are some strategies you can use here when it comes to how you, oh, like that, and no. Okay, I'm still confused as to how you're supposed to approach this, because I think there's a certain pattern you can tap the jump button to get a little extra height. No, because if you just hold it, as you can see, what happens is you just kind of fall. But maybe if I can... wait a... No. The developer has limited it. Like, you can't just... It eventually hits a point where you're just not going to get any more height, no matter how you tap it. So it might just be there for curiosity's sake. I'm not sure. Ooh, transition, mode 7. All right, was that actually mode 7? A lot of us use the phrase mode 7 and not actually know what's going on. Dang, it's freezing in here. So what's next for us? How is it freezing? There's, like, fire and lava, but there's also ice. I want a gun, and I want it now. Pretty please. We're not that desperate yet, kid. These character designs are absolutely horrific, though. That's not a bad thing. I just love how hard they clash with yours. Like, you got this cute little anime chick, and then, like, you got these big-eyed dudes. They're just... Okay, this is great. I actually really like this. I mean, of course, it is a really well-made little game. So what was I talking about again? I've completely lost my train of thought. Once more. Oh, difficulty, yes. So that's actually what's interesting is that Kirby's Epic Yarn, like with most people, it drew me in with its art style, right? It was just the way the game looked and sounded. Especially helped that I was a kid back when it came out. Even though, funnily enough, when I was like, you know, at the... Well, okay, I was gonna say, when I was a kid, I wasn't into kid stuff. I mean, what kid above the age of, like, 2 is actually into kid? We're all into the edgy shit, you know? Like, when you're like 12, you want Mortal Kombat, you want GTA. Now, I want this. This is great. I love QT shit like this, you know? I was having a discussion with one of my colleagues, and it was just like, you know, he was talking about, oh, you know, violence in games. It's like, dude, my favorite video game of all time, or at least some of my favorite games of all time, are literally rated 7+. Like, it has nothing to do with that. Like, I fucking love just fun, family-friendly kids games, but, like, with an edge to them a little bit. I'm talking about Sonic Heroes. It's probably my... Actually, is it... I guess Sonic Heroes would have to be my favorite game of all time. Even Adventure 2 is awesome as well. Of course it is. I mean, like, come on. If you're not new to this channel, you know what I'm all about when it comes to this shit. I'm going to be referencing that stuff all the time. This is the second boss. It took me a little while to figure out what to do. It's actually super simple. You just wait until, you know, he exposes that part of himself, and you just kind of jump and you shoot him. That slap sound is so satisfying, really. The music in the game is also, it has this really nice balance, this soft quality to it. I especially love the map theme, actually. I think I'll let you listen to it a little bit more. Although we're pretty much going to be ending this part real soon. I think what I'll do is I'll just kind of shut up for a little bit, let you listen to it, and then I'll close off the part, alright? Because it is a very pleasant little piece. Again, especially impressive because the same guy who did the music did everything else, you know? Like, he calls himself a jack of all trades, but fuck it, who's to say you can't be a master of all trades, you know? It's a really well-made little game. I can't stop gushing because it's like, I wasn't expecting to find something like this, and especially something so accessible, because typically when it comes to games released for systems that have existed for so long, they're like for the hardcore crowd. You know, they're a niche, they're not for the mass market, so they're gonna be fucking hard typically, right? So to see something that's not that hard from that same crowd is, quite a novelty in my opinion. You know, maybe it's more common on Super Nintendo versus something like the Dreamcast or even the NES or the... Does the PS1 have a homebrew scene? No, I think it does. I've seen plenty of more recent PS1 releases. What about the Saturn? How's the Saturn do? I imagine the only guy who would be making contemporary games for the Saturn would be John Burden, most likely. What about the Genesis? I really need to keep up with some of the homebrew scenes. I'm only familiar with the ROM hacking scene of for the N64 because, you know, obviously Mario 64 exists and there's like one or two Mario fan like ROM hacks. You know, just a couple. There's a lot of them, actually. That's the joke. Okay, come on, can you know, maybe saying that's the joke makes it not funny, because I'm not funny. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. Are we almost done with this boss? That is one thing, the bosses can go on for quite some time, but to be fair, maybe I'm just not using the most effective strategy. But see, if Vector Man were more like this, I would like it a lot better. But I'm going to hold off on that until I do my Focus on B on it, because I will do a video on it, and I will be very, very critical, because holy shit, that game pisses me off. That is one fucking level with, like, the second level of the game. What's up with that? Games from that time, where, like, the second level is the hardest one, where you have this fucking train, and it has this really cool 3D effect. So gotta give them props for that. The whole game was basically a big showcase. Like, oh, look what we can do with the Genesis. But it's, like, unplayable, because you don't know what the fuck's going on half the time. You can't see everything clearly, you know? It's like, that's the problem. There's a massive visibility issue with those kind of games. It's not as... I mean, it's significantly worse, actually, than even... Like, in my Vivid Noise, I got a lot of shit for that, like 4 comments, but still, like, surprisingly negative comments, considering what I said about Donkey Kong Country, but it's true, I do genuinely have a hard time figuring out exactly where I am on the 2D plane with these pre-rendered visuals, but it's especially bad in some levels in Vector Man. I mean, Jesus Christ, but doesn't matter, we'll get to that. But this game is absolutely fantastic. I'm having a great time. Okay, let's check this out. What are you guys talking about? This is HQ. Enemy has set up base in the cathedral. Ooh, cathedral. Got it. We need to engage immediately. I'm pretty sure the next level is not a cathedral, though. Where do we go now? Oh, please hold the door. Oh, this is great. You actually get to go inside the underground. Or the subway? I don't know. I'm from that weird part of the world where we just kind of... Well, we have our own word for it, but it doesn't really matter because I can't seem to choose which one to use to begin with. Like, which one of the English words. I don't fucking... The subway makes more sense, I guess. That it's just more typical. Anyway, so let's take a listen to the overworld theme that I mentioned, and we'll close off the episode. Come on. There you go. That's really nice. Love that bass line, those chords. Boom, boom, boom. It's really pleasant. Seriously, great job on the soundtrack. It's limited, but it's got a lot of really great little pieces. So anyway, this has been the first episode of Dottie Flower for the Super Nintendo of all things, and I'll see you guys with part 2.